Things escalate immediately. The officer warns them. You can hear the officer yelling to back up. He's establishing a clear boundary now. They need to step away. The deputy is trying to de-escalate the situation, but the suspect refuses to cooperate at all. He's explaining that his partner is just working, but his repeated commands are completely ignored by her. Now physical contact is being made. The officer tells her to step back. Touching an officer is a major mistake. Huge error. Check out her combative body language. He tries to grab her hand. She's actively resisting and trying to pull away. Hard. Watch closely right here. He demands her hand once again right now. The deputy keeps his composure. He warns her about facing a dynamic arrest. She actually smacked his hand away just now. Unbelievable. The suspect is totally defiant. She thinks she can push the deputy, but that is simply not how things work. Assaulting an officer is a felony charge. Now she's heading straight to county jail over a minor incident. She threw away her freedom today. He orders her to cuff up. The struggle continues on camera. She refuses to yield. Tension is peaking. This is her very last warning now. The taser is out and ready to deploy. It's going to hurt. He demands her physical compliance one final time. She still won't give up. She claims innocence. Unreal. Despite her obvious physical resistance, you and I can clearly see she resisted. The cuffs are finally clicked into place, and she is officially booked. Let us analyze this tense encounter. The officer confirms his camera is on. Officers immediately try to secure him. They demand his second wrist, but the suspect actively refuses. Resistance. Handcuffing becomes a struggle here. Escalation. The suspect starts fighting back physically. He yells at the deputy, denying officer authority. Police bark loud commands to comply. He receives a final warning before being tased. Now his female partner faces arrest as well. She continues to interfere with the arrest. Backup is ordered to detain her. The officer warns her to stop, ordering hands behind her back. Force is used. Officers finally pin the suspect down. We see them secure cuffs. Hold his arms. Flat on pavement. One arm remains free. Refusing to comply equals active resistance. The deputies repeat their loud orders. Get back. The suspect tries to argue his actions. Excuses do not stop an arrest. Period. He claims that he followed the commands. A standard defense mechanism during physical custody. But his body language tells a different story. He believes compliance is on his terms. Delusional. Deputies gather to de-escalate. Post-arrest questioning begins. The officers step aside to debrief, transporting the suspects to booking, deciding which cruiser to use, selecting the closest patrol unit. The primary deputy now addresses the driver, clarifying the initial illegal parking violation. Watch what happens next. The driver explains she was illegally blocking a dumpster. He checked the plate, then she ran out. He tried to offer her a drop fee, 60 to 50, but she just lost it. She immediately started screaming insults at him. He warned her to stop or get towed. Instead of calming down, she kept escalating. As he set up his towing equipment, things got physical. She allegedly grabbed his gear and threw it into the lawn. His partner chimes in about his own gear. The owner accuses the driver of pushing. He denies it, wishing he had a camera. But dashcams are recording everything. He explains how she blocked him. She kept shoving him to stop the tow. The officer asks who got hit. No. Police want to know if there was physical contact. Arriving, the suspect claims they shoved first. Now they are debating who touched whom. The driver points out the mother's interference. That explains why she is detained. But the daughter was the real instigator. She kept disrupting his work over and over, tossing heavy equipment right into the grass. Okay. The driver points out the daughter specifically. She is facing arrest for striking his hand. That crossed the line from protesting to battery. Now resisting charge is likely. She is heading straight to jail. The officer checks for other injuries or assaults. The driver says he is totally fine physically. Unhurt. Good. He is just annoyed. He goes back to explaining the physical interference. The cop clarifies the obstruction of the gear. Equipment. The driver demonstrates exactly what she did. He physically shows her aggressive blocking moves. How she kept trying to shove him back. Watch closely. The tow driver immediately denies any physical contact. He insists he kept his hands to himself. He says he only touched his gear. The officer tries to establish the timeline here. He asks when the car owners first appeared. He wants to know their exact location. They were coming down from an upstairs unit. The driver says they rushed down during the lift. The owner reached the bottom of the stairs. He explains he was just doing his job. She did not give any warning beforehand. There was no verbal warning given to him. Understood. As he raised the vehicle, the confrontation turned physical. She opened his cab. Indeed, the daughter aggressively pulled his door open. Specifically, the daughter did it. That is a massive boundary violation for drivers. He immediately drew a line right there. You do not breach a tow operator's truck. He shut down the aggression fast. Right. That is incredibly dangerous. The deputy asks for his towing permit. He wants to verify the legal paperwork. The officer needs to see proof. The owner claims there is vehicle damage. Scratches. The driver explains his lift gear safely. The steel equipment is highly durable. It takes extreme force to cause issues. Period. He points out the warning signs on property. Warnings are posted clearly at the entrance. Visible. Private property rules are usually strict. Extremely strict. Blocking dumpsters is a major violation here. Instant. The deputy checks the dispatch system for confirmation. He shows the digital portal they use daily. Everything is tracked on a dedicated mobile app. The driver begins explaining their automatic towing policy. Towing. Since both suspects are now going to jail, the deputy asks for the tow documentation. This paperwork will secure the official police report. It legally protects the towing company's actions, proving they operated within their contracted rights. It shows their standard operating procedures were fully followed. The complex has an automatic removal agreement. This means the tow was fully authorized. This documentation solidifies the officer's case file. It validates why the driver hooked the vehicle. With that settled, the driver is cleared to leave. The scene is now secure. The tow driver departs. Now officers coordinate next steps. They double check. Everything is ready. One officer asks if they need a written statement regarding the incident. The driver has already completed his paperwork. They discuss filing additional charges for vehicle tampering against the angry suspects. They decide against it. Additional charges can always be tacked on later, but for now, no. The deputy checks the suspect's demeanor. She has finally de-escalated and is worried about her younger sibling. The officer approaches. He needs to ensure she is cooperative now. He explains she is under arrest for battery on a police officer and resisting arrest. He reminds her that getting physical is unacceptable. This entire escalation was completely avoidable. The officer was trying to de-escalate the situation. He wanted to have a rational conversation. He points out the tow driver was simply doing his job. He is contracted to clear unauthorized vehicles from the lot, specifically targeting any cars blocking the lot. Ultimately, the suspect chose to park illegally. She is responsible for her own actions here. A simple conversation would have resolved this peacefully. Instead, she allowed her high emotions to take over completely, turning a civil dispute into a felony arrest. The suspect refused to cooperate with officers. Touching an officer is a terrible mistake. That is a guaranteed ticket to jail. He is getting arrested, but the suspect immediately denies it. Unfortunately for him, bodycam footage does not lie. Everything is recorded in high definition. He desperately tries to downplay the physical contact. Unsuccessfully, the officer shuts down his weak excuses immediately. He tells him to save it for court. That is his story, but it won't work. A judge will decide his fate, not the officer. Either way, his ride to jail is booked. Next, the deputy begins checking for contraband, asking about medical weed. Nope. That means he is catching an extra possession charge. This traffic stop is going downhill fast. Now, his mother is entering the picture. She chose to interfere with the investigation and is actively resisting police orders nearby. This entire situation was completely avoidable, folks. All they had to do was follow simple instructions. Instead, they chose escalation at every turn. The mother only made things much worse by screaming about her constitutional rights. But you still have to comply with lawful orders. Neither of them wanted to listen to reason. From the very second the police arrived, the suspect was already hostile from the start, aggressively confronting the tow driver on scene. That is a major legal boundary crossed. Obstructing a tow truck driver is illegal. He thought he could bully his way out, but he had zero leverage here. A little de-escalation would have saved him. They could have resolved this easily. He would still have his vehicle if he had just kept his cool, because the driver was offering a deal. Just pay a small drop fee to release the car. Then they both could have driven away tonight. Simple as that. Instead, the mother continues to argue with officers. The deputy explains she was too hysterical to reason with because of her extreme emotional state. Trying to talk sense became completely impossible. That is when she allegedly struck the deputy, leading directly to her arrest. Predictably, the suspect denies the assault, but the deputy reminds her of the body cam footage. She claims she was just trying to pay him, attempting to settle the tow truck fee. She was searching for cash. The focus now shifts to her lack of a medical card and the safety of the kids upstairs, alone inside. Her young brother is with strangers outside, whom she does not even know, while her sister is asleep upstairs, completely unsupervised. The officer presses the issue. Her response is evasive. Now, police must find a guardian, or they will be forced to contact child services to take temporary custody of the kids. This is a serious escalation. The deputy points out her terrible decision-making. If she had only just listened, her family would not be facing an active investigation by Child Protective Services. It is a harsh reality for this mother. All this stemmed from a minor traffic dispute, an argument over a simple vehicle tow. She completely lost her temper. De-escalation was never her goal. Now she pays. She is heading to jail. She continues to resist physical control. Fighting law enforcement never ends well. As she is about to learn, she resisted. The officer refuses to engage in further debate, maintaining a calm but very firm boundary. The debate ends. She still tries to downplay it. Here, the deputy immediately shuts down any debate here. She is getting arrested. You can hear the suspect complaining about this treatment, but the officer is not letting him steer the situation. Next, he starts the standard search questions. Notice how the suspect complies, offering to be searched. The officer directs him to step over for safety. He verifies his BODYCAM status, giving clear commands. Securing him in the cruiser, he tries to establish some rapport with the suspect, warning him about bringing contraband to jail, a common tactic to gain cooperation during arrests. It is standard procedure for every transport. Now, let's look at the custody situation here. There is a child involved. The second deputy hasn't spoken to her. They move to make contact. He explains the situation to the female suspect, informing her she is under arrest for resisting. The focus shifts to finding a proper caretaker. Departments prefer to avoid child protective services if possible. Otherwise, social services must be contacted. Yes. Who? She claims a caretaker already has the kid. The deputy demands a name, explaining it is a close family friend nearby. On scene, he agrees to verify if this woman can take custody. If she refuses, they have no other choice. The child will go to state custody tonight. He transitions back to the physical search. Contraband. They lead her outside to finish the arrest. Standard handcuffing procedure. But now she starts worrying about her phone. Lost. The officer agrees to do a quick scan. Watch how she immediately becomes demanding about the device, insisting she won't go without her property. Behind, the officer delivers a harsh reality. She realizes she lacks any leverage. The officer points out her escalation, yet she still tries to deny her actions. Let us look at how she suddenly shuts down. The deputy orders her to sit down immediately. Now the focus shifts to child safety. She agrees to release the child safely. Safe. They discover suspected illegal narcotics. Confirmed. An on-site chemical test is required. They quickly coordinate to get the testing kit. The deputies make sure their communication stays tight. Secure. Good. They prepare to transport her to booking. Next. Right. Now. The charges are officially assigned to her. The transport unit has arrived. The deputy takes control here. Let us examine how they log digital evidence. Done. The suspect finally speaks up. She demands to know what is happening. The officer delivers the blunt reality. Jail. Her list of criminal offences is extensive, including direct physical assault on officers and interfering with tow personnel. Understood. More penalties might follow, since she lacks legal drug authorization. Pending the official lab test results, she will face additional narcotics charges. The full gravity sets in. Her belongings. She worries about her personal phone. Deputies confirm all property is secured. Everything is documented for the log. Her cash will remain with her directly, but her purse cannot enter the jail. We see how police secure personal items. It goes into the local locker. The scene closes. She is now also facing arrest. Charges include resisting and evidence tampering.